My name is Walter F. Connor, Sr., a high school social studies teacher specializing in U.S. history, a retired United States Marine colonel with a tour in Vietnam as a gunship pilot, with many years of both federal and state military service while working as an educator. I have a master's degree in history and one in leadership and supervision, and consider myself a family man. My background as a military person and having an understanding of the law of war, married with 8 children and 13 grandchildren, and knowing how precious every human life is, and a history teacher, have all made me realize that we study history to learn from the past. I am absolutely sure that the most important goal in this upcoming election is to defeat the Democratic Party, end the hopeful containment and eventual abolition of abortion in America. I parallel this issue with the elimination of slavery by constitutional amendment in the 1860s. Many Americans at that time didn't even think that slavery could be eliminated, but possibly contained. Just like those who feel that by eliminating the funding of abortions, it might die on the vine, so to speak. But it was a stroke of fate that the Civil War was fought, and the ability to amend the Constitution gave the country the chance to override a terrible decision by the Supreme Court. The Southern states were forced to sign on in order to be readmitted to the Union, and therefore, no more slavery. A very bad Dred Scott decision by a biased court of slave-owning justices was overturned by the people in an amendment to the Constitution. The 1973 Roe v. Wade decision on abortion by a confused court also needs to be overturned by the people. That's right, confuse. Read their opinions. I was a gunship pilot in Vietnam, and before I could shoot or engage the enemy, I had to get clearance to fire. If I was unsure, confused, or had any doubt at all about whether I was able to fire my weapons, I was forbidden by the law of war and the rules of engagement. You absolutely have to err on the side of caution. Where is that accountability by the Supreme Court justices who voted in 1973 to allow abortion to be universally accepted when they themselves weren't 100% sure they were right? Why did they not hold themselves accountable to the same standard that even the military accepts as gospel? If you're not 100% sure who the enemy is, then don't shoot. If you aren't sure when human life starts, then don't murder an innocent victim. I mean that the justices couldn't even agree when human life begins. When is viability? So even though they were confused, they made a decision that basically murders innocent children without penalty. Quoting from a professor in logic, abortion is a deliberate killing of an innocent human being. That is the nature of the act we are talking about. There is a word for such an act. It is called murder. One reader of my letter to the editor, who claimed that he detests abortion, says an amendment to abolish it is a fantasy. That same logic was applied to slavery by even the most ardent of abolitionists. But it was Lincoln, the politician, the president, who knew that if given a chance, America could right this terrible wrong. We have a chance to pursue that same political course by defeating the Democratic Party this November at the polls. That is the first step to contain the monster of abortion by political means and give the abolition of abortion a chance to succeed. Thank you, and may God bless America.